Okay, so being that the title itself to this episode is called Tender Engines, I can't imagine a story involving anyone else but the drama queens of Sodor. After all, we are already starting with Gordon and James. And no Edward to be found, I might add. James was observing how much coal Gordon was taking, and although he himself wasn't saying he should stop, he was inferring that maybe he should leave some for the other engines. But like most moments involving Gordon, the answer was self-centered.
Some might say you're being rather greedy. I'm an important engine, replied Gordon. Important engines need plenty of coal, but I doubt if you would understand that, James. James snorted and went about his work.
Yeah, that figures. Nothing but love coming from old number 4. Sure, James maybe didn't need to say what he said, but at least he said it without being too pushy on the matter. As if that would have changed anything, though. Later that day, Duck rolled by and made another suggestion to Gordon. Why? Because he was taking water from a standpipe for no other reason than the water tower was shot to crap. And just like the first reaction, Gordon responded the same way.
Pah, said Gordon. What's this, educating Gordon Day? First James, now you, Duck. Big engines have big needs. Little engines are just annoying. Don't say I didn't warn you, laughed Duck.
Next stop, Gordon rolled into Knapford Harbor and came across 2 large tenders. Now, how would pompous Gordon normally react if he saw such a sight? More jealous than anything else, right? Not so here. He actually was more inspired by the display and felt that if he had more than one tender, that would make any other engine's comments invalid. According to his driver and fireman, they belonged to a visitor. Those tenders, though, they look familiar. Like they belong not just to some visitor, but a famous visitor. Nah, not the city of Truro, though. That would make Gordon jealous for some reason.
Everyone knows that tenders are a mark of distinction, but I'm afraid that no amount of tenders will save you in the end. We diesels are taking over, and we don't need tenders to make us important, not even one. Gordon was most upset.
That doesn't surprise me. Lately, Diesel has just been making cameos to throw in his 2 cents and make everyone's day worse. Gordon tried to tell the other engines the next day, but there were 2 problems with that. The first being Duck and Henry just thought it was boiler ache after taking water from that standpipe, and the second being Gordon just didn't express his concern the right way. If you start off a sentence with, "I'm not happy," without specifying why, others might come to their own conclusions instead of asking. Oh, woe is Gordon. Not. However, someone was listening, and it came from an unexpected figure, or figurine.
Cheer up, Gordon, said Sir Topham Hatt. I can't, sir. Is it true what Diesel says, sir? What does he say? That Diesels are taking over. Don't worry, Gordon. That will never happen on my railway.
I would call that a half lie. But sure, let's go with that. Finishing off his curiosity, Gordon clarified with Top Hat as to why the engine he saw earlier had 2 tenders. What he got was a logical answer. The distance between coaling depots were too far apart because the lines ran for long stretches. See? Who said you couldn't learn from a show with talking trains? Gordon was also satisfied with that answer. But then the grumpy bug latched on to Henry. Soon he was complaining about not having enough tenders, which I don't see why it should matter to him, though. He's already been modified to be as powerful as Gordon. Duck had an idea, though, and told Donald about it.
Henry, he asked, would you like my tenders? Yours? What have you got to do with tenders? All right, said Duck, the deal's off. Would you like them, Donald? I wouldn't deprive you of the honor.
Ha, good one, Donald. I don't even know how Henry's falling for this. Duck is a tank engine and he says it himself, so why on earth would he need a bunch of tenders, let alone 1? But being that Henry was desperate to have them, Duck agreed to give him his tenders. 6 of them, to be exact. 6. Come on, really? This already should be sending up red flags. Red signals, whatever you want to use. Yet he didn't think twice about it. When it was finally time to show off his tenders, all the engines waited at Tidmouth Station to see what Henry had to show. Henry wasn't ready for that, though.
The other engines waited where they could each get a good view. But Henry wasn't a splendid sight at all. His 6 tenders were very old, dirty, and filled with boiler sludge. Had a good washout, Henry, called a voice. That's right. You'll feel a different engine now. Henry was not sure, but he thought the voice belonged to Gordon.
Huh. I don't know if I should find this funny or not. I say this because frustration has been shifted to the joy of someone else's humiliation. All thanks to Duck. It's just a weird mix of feelings I'm getting, and with that I must say this episode is just odd. It's not bad, but I don't really get the whole reason why Henry wanted another tender. He wasn't around to see the visitor with the 2 tenders, nor did Gordon say anything about it to him. I feel like there's a scene missing here. Adding to the confusion is Duck's joke. I can see how it would be funny, but the timing is awkward and feels out of character for him. Duck is a no bullcrap tank engine, and yet here, he's the one causing the bullcrap. And then to have Henry laughed at by the other engines is unnecessary. However, what was funny to watch was Donald's reaction to Duck's pretending. The Scottish twins have always had good lines. And for Gordon, as predictable as he can be with his Gordonisms, seeing him being grumpy and having the "Educating Gordon Day" line was gold, especially when read by George Carlin. The locations featured in this story were also not that interesting either. The only 2 places to get any kind of a unique view was Tidmouth Station and the 3-way road. Tidmouth Station is definitely not a new area, but there are a few angles that give the station more depth than before. Also, the ending shot has that nice sunset color. The 3-way road, on the other hand, is being credited positively because it's still fairly new, and it's mesmerizing to see things moving on all 3 lines simultaneously. But as for Tidmouth Yard and Knapford Harbor, there's nothing to really mention other than the coaling hopper and the siding with the double tenders. But that isn't much to take in. Music, on the other hand, was more enjoyable to experience. Aside from the incidental music, 3 main themes reprised themselves. The biggest of the 3 was Gordon's grumpy motif, which always makes scenes involving him extra funny because it just emphasizes how silly some of his demands really are. The other 2 had shorter running times, but Henry's is heard when he crosses the 3-way road, and Diesel's is heard when Diesel shows up briefly. Next episode is Escape. Thanks for watching.